I was a shameless alpha, and I ended up marrying a clueless alpha. On our wedding night, that clueless guy warned me not to get any funny ideas about him. I raised an eyebrow, gave him a once-over from head to toe, and asked casually, "Which kind of ideas are you talking about?" His face flushed red, and he clutched his waistband tightly, snapping at me. "You perv." I just smiled, nodded, grabbed the back of his neck, gave him a forceful kiss, then turned and went off to the guest room. In the middle of the night, a sneaky figure appeared beside my bed. He took my hand and pressed it against his thing, voice husky and pitiful. "Babe, it hurts. Touch me." 1. I was living it up abroad when a phone call yanked me back home. My parents came to pick me up at the airport. The moment we met, my dad shoved a piece of candy into my mouth and said, "Son, we found you a marriage partner." I pulled out a tissue and spat it out on instinct, only to get poked back into submission by my mom's finger. I smacked my lips and grinned lazily. "All right, Mom, tell me, which Omega is it? Might be someone I've dated before." My dad chuckled sheepishly. "Not an Omega, he's an Alpha. Grandpa's precious grandson, your mom's best friend's kid, Charlie." "Damn, that's the guy I just broke up with." 2. Once we got in the car, my dad was still rambling on. "You remember Charlie, right? When you were little, you said he was slow and wouldn't play with him, always calling him dumb mutt, remember?" I didn't. My dad sighed dramatically. "Well, now he's actually slow." "What?" My voice almost cracked. My mom shot me a glare. "He's slow, not dead. Don't go screeching like that. Victoria, your Aunt Victoria, told me that 2 months ago. Charlie was heartbroken from a breakup. His friends took him rock climbing to cheer him up. A loose boulder hit him in the head. He was in a coma for 2 days, and ever since he woke up, he hasn't been quite right, can't even talk properly anymore. They brought in a team of brain specialists from both here and abroad, worked on him for over a month, and still no improvement. Your grandfather was already in poor health. Now he's so worried he almost passed out. First thing he said after waking up was that he wanted to see Charlie married before he goes. But he literally liked my vacation photos on social media just 2 days ago." Another glare from my mom. "He's bedridden, not dead, can't scroll on his phone now, no complaints." My mom gave a satisfied huff and went on. "With Charlie's condition now, the only way to get him married is to find someone he's familiar with. Your Aunt Victoria thought long and hard and came up with you. She's asking for your help." My dad chimed in. "Don't worry, son. Your Aunt Victoria said this is just to fulfill Grandpa's last wish. Once he passes peacefully, you and Charlie can do whatever you want." I rolled my eyes. "Did Charlie agree to any of this? He doesn't really remember you anymore." "Ha!" My mom sighed again. "When Victoria mentioned your name, he was confused for a long while. She showed him your photo, and after staring at it for ages, he finally said 3 words. "What words?" "Nathan, bad." I asked him what bad thing you did, and he just shook his head. "Victoria asked if he wanted to marry you, and he nodded. My guess, he's still hung up about you not playing with him as a kid." I looked down and rubbed the tip of my nose. Then Mom suddenly got serious. "Why are you acting guilty? Don't tell me you actually did something to Charlie." I looked up fast. "No, we haven't talked in years." She stared at me for a long beat before finally looking away and pulling out her phone. "All right, then it's settled. I'll call Victoria and set up a time for you two to meet." "Mom, wait, just remembered something." "What is it?" "Sleeping with someone who's mentally impaired, that's illegal, right?" She gave me a look and snorted. "Then let him sleep with you." 3. That afternoon, I didn't even get to go home. My mom dragged me straight to a hair salon. "Dye that white hair back, right now." "Mom, it's platinum blonde. I just had it done 2 weeks ago." "I don't care what kind of gold it is. And take off those earrings and that choker. All of it." As she spoke, she yanked at my collar again. "What's this tattoo under your collarbone?" "Lip print. Whose is it?" I yanked her hand off and made a run for the salon without looking back. After a bit of negotiation, I stubbornly kept a few streaks of gradient color at the tips. By the time I was done, it was 6 in the evening. Just as I walked out, my mom popped up again. "Come on, dinner." I pulled a face. "Mom, I'm exhausted." "I've been exhausted?" She shot me a glance. "You used to work during the day and DJ at night. Never heard you complain then. Don't think I don't know you're planning to run off and meet your no-good friends. Let me tell you something, Nathan, back then, I let you do whatever you wanted, but now that you're getting married, you'd better behave. After work, you come straight home. And another thing, I surrender," I said, raising my hands in defeat. She ignored me, rambling all the way to the restaurant. It was a rooftop restaurant in a high-end hotel. I'd mentally prepared myself, but the moment I saw Charlie, I still froze. He looked thinner. His eyes, which used to be sharp and intense, had turned soft and glassy, overflowing with dumb innocence. Honestly, kind of cute. After greeting Aunt Victoria, I made my way straight to Charlie, flopped into the seat beside him, and grinned. Long time no see. Charlie sat up straight, shot me a cautious glance, and squeezed out 2 words. Hello. That reaction. Did he really forget we used to date? While our moms chatted away, I leaned in, slung an arm around Charlie's shoulders, and lowered my voice. Hey, why'd you agree to marry me? Charlie froze up completely. He lowered his head slightly and mumbled, slow and stiff. Grandpa likes. Mom likes. I tapped his shoulder. What about you? Do you like me? His black eyes shifted around. He glanced briefly at my face, then mumbled even softer. No. Might as well have said nothing. Fine. Next question. Why'd you call me bad? This time, Charlie looked at me directly and replied, loud and clear, not good. Ha! I raised a brow and chuckled. What did I do that was so bad? When we were dating, didn't I always treat you right? Charlie frowned, clearly panicking. Talk slower. Alright, guess the word dating overheated his CPU. I rephrased it and slowed down. Why do you think I'm bad? Charlie pursed his lips, refusing to answer. I grabbed the back of his head and warned, if you don't talk, I'll kiss you right here in front of your mom. His pupils shrank in shock. After a long, silent protest, he finally huffed and said, you played with others, not me. Didn't come home when it got dark. Ha, to be fair, none of those things really happened while we were dating. So, his memory of me must be stuck before we ever dated. Back then, yeah, I was wild. Not coming home at night was normal. But how did he know that? I reached out and pinched his cheeks, turning his face toward me. Were you spying on me, baby? More pupil shock. He smacked my hand away and snapped. Liar. Yep. The boy got dumber, but his temper sure got bigger. 4. The next day, I went to visit Charlie's grandfather at the hospital. First thing he asked me was why I dyed my hair back to black. I shot my mom a bitter look, then turned around and proudly showed Grandpa the rainbow ends I'd kept. He laughed so hard he couldn't stop, and even asked me to take Charlie for a matching dye job. I looked at Charlie. He looked at the ceiling, playing deaf. When we left the hospital, I shoved him into my car. Charlie clung to the door in protest. I'm not going. I leaned in with a grin. Not even to get our marriage license. That stubborn guy immediately shut up and sat down like a good boy, eyes lowered, nervously fidgeting with his hands. Last night after dinner, Aunt Victoria had pulled me aside and told me that our marriage wouldn't involve a wedding, just getting the paperwork done for Grandpa's peace of mind. We could divorce and move on any time afterward. Charlie had looked exactly like this when she told me. Not sure if he even heard her. We got to the registry office, and less than 10 minutes later, we had 2 little red booklets in hand. Outside, I pulled out the rings I'd prepared, slid one onto Charlie's finger, then did mine. He stared blankly at his ring finger like he was in a trance. I snapped my fingers. When he came back to earth, I stuffed the marriage certificates into his hands, then pulled out my phone, looped an arm around his neck, and opened the camera. In the lens, Charlie looked stiff, like I was holding him hostage. I tugged his cheek with a smile. Smile for the camera, hubby. The moment I said that, Charlie's face flickered through a slideshow of shock, confusion, shame, and disbelief. Then, slowly, he turned his head to look at me. Click. Photo taken. I was beaming in the picture. Charlie, meanwhile, held the marriage certificates right in front of his mouth, hiding the lower half of his face. His lashes were half lowered, his eyes resting on the curve of my lips. Good enough. At least he looked like he loved me. I posted it to my socials. Grandpa, once again, was the first to like it. Then came a flood of question marks in the comments. I tucked my phone away and tugged at the stiff log that was Charlie. Let's go. Charlie blinked his big puppy eyes. Go where? I yanked on his tie, grinning wickedly. Home. Wedding night. 5. After spending a full day together, I discovered that Charlie might have lost some brainpower, but he hadn't lost everything. Like the word wedding night, he knew exactly what it meant, and blushed all the way home. Refused to let me hold his hand. During dinner, he'd rather struggle to reach food than sit anywhere near me. Honestly, he didn't seem dumb. More like, he'd lost the maturity of an adult, and the unfiltered kid inside had taken over. We'd dated for almost a year, and only now did it hit me. I never really understood him. This whole relationship, epic fail. At 10 that night, Charlie walked out of the bathroom after his shower. When he saw me sitting on his bed, he took 3 shocked steps back and glared. "Don't you dare try anything with me." I raised an eyebrow, put my phone down, and gave him a slow once-over. "And what exactly do you mean by that?" His face flushed red. He gripped the waistband of his pajamas and snapped. "You perv." I blinked, amused. "Say that again, if you dare." Charlie braced his neck like a stubborn puppy, scared but fierce, and repeated it. I smiled and took a slow step toward him. He stood rigid, clutching his pants like a virgin bride, jaw clenched like he was guarding his last shred of purity. But the moment I raised my hand, he shut his eyes. Fast. "Scared I'll hit you?" Charlie stayed silent, squeezing his eyes shut even tighter. I chuckled quietly. My raised hand landed on the back of his neck, fingers tightened, and I tilted my head, sealing my lips over his. Charlie's eyes flew open, breath hitching midair. I smiled against his lips. Before he could react, I pressed him back against the wall. My thumb pinned his throat as my tongue parted his lips, bold and teasing. I taught him how to kiss the first time. Now, all he could do was take it. Breath tangled, heat rising. His pants came out broken and desperate, and with our lower halves pressed together, I could definitely feel what kind of reaction that dumb puppy was having. Once he was fully into it, I grabbed his jaw and pulled back, took 2 steps back, licked my slightly swollen lips, and looked at him with a smirk. "Still wanna call me names?" Charlie stood there, lips parted, staring in disbelief at his own reaction, then up at me. His big, round eyes were glistening, practically sparkling. "Honestly, so cute it hurt." "Nathan." I raised an eyebrow and glanced toward the nightstand, grabbed a box of tissues and tossed it into his arms. "Have fun," and walked out to the guest room. 6. I lay in bed feeling great, and then ended up tossing and turning half the night. I kept thinking about my past with Charlie. We'd run into each other again at a party. He'd accidentally had a spiked drink, which brought on his heat early, and he clung to me the whole night. The next morning, after sobering up, he sat at the edge of the bed, smoked 2 cigarettes, and said he wanted to take responsibility. I kicked him and told him to get lost. Didn't expect he'd actually mean it. He chased after me for half a year. We dated for 1, but the breakup? That was his idea. It was just a regular morning. He made me breakfast like always, waited until I finished eating. Then he said, "Nathan, let's break up." I still remember his expression. Calm, composed, like he'd thought it through for a long time. But just the night before, he'd called to remind me not to drink too much at the party. I stared him dead in the eyes and asked why. In that pause, my mind ran through all kinds of reasons. I'm tired, no more sparks, found an Omega to marry. But all he said was, "I'm giving you your freedom back." I laughed, couldn't say a word, slammed the door and walked out. First time being dumped. It stung. I partied hard for 2 months. Still stung. It wasn't until I heard about Charlie again, until he showed up in front of me again, that I finally figured out what was wrong. I still had feelings for him. I was going to talk things out. But what did he do? Reset himself to factory settings. So cruel. This dumb mutt didn't even give me a chance to win him back. Even after getting our marriage license, he wouldn't let me touch him, and still called me a pervert. Screw that. The more I thought about it, the more pissed off I got. I should have just stripped him down and thrown him onto the bed right then and there. Just as I was fuming, I heard something at the door, then a soft click as it closed. A cool wave of pheromones began spreading through the air. I sniffed, was just about to turn over when a tall, sneaky silhouette appeared beside my bed. "What are you doing?" Charlie reached under the covers, found my hand, and pulled it to his crotch. His voice was rough, pitiful. "Babe, it hurts. Touch me." 7. I clenched my teeth and yanked my hand back. "Touch your ass. I'm tired. Get out." I rolled over, but the bed dipped again. Charlie climbed on with one knee. "Babe, touch me." He reached for my hand again, even in the pitch dark. His puppy dog eyes were practically glowing. I shot him a glare. "Who are you calling babe? Aren't I just a pervert to you?" The bed sank again. He brought up his other knee, kneeling upright like a soldier. I was wrong. Who was wrong? Charlie was so flustered his breathing picked up. He leaned forward, grabbed my hand, and tried to press it to his cheek. Mouth, slap. Just before I hit him, I yanked my hand back. Charlie pouted. "Slap." I scoffed. "Do you even know how physics works? If I slap you, my hand's gonna hurt too." I started to sit up, but Charlie suddenly dove into my chest. His hands clutched my shoulders, his nose nuzzling all over me, and then he bit me right through my shirt. I grunted, grabbed his hair, and pushed him back so I could sit upright. Babe, kneel properly. It hurts. I don't care. Sit up. Charlie gave me a wounded look, but surprisingly, he listened. This 6 feet 2 inches guy was now kneeling like a scolded wife. Alright, fine. That helped my mood a little. I crossed my legs and asked casually, is your heat kicking in? He nodded. Yeah. You want me to touch you? Yeah. I snorted. Answer one question first. Okay. Why'd you tell me not to touch you earlier tonight? Charlie went mute. I held up 3 fingers. 3, 2. Charlie grabbed my hand and balled it into a fist, holding it tight in his palm. Because, you don't like me, and I don't like you either. I frowned. When did I ever say? I stopped myself. Right. His memory had reverted to before we ever dated. Back then, it was true. I didn't exactly like him. I even had a few flings going on. So that's why. I softened my gaze, slowed my voice. So that night at dinner, when I asked if you liked me, and you said no, it was because of that? Charlie hung his head low and gave a tiny nod. I curved my lips into a smile and lifted his chin. Then let me ask you again, do you like me now? Charlie nodded hard. Yes. I raised a brow. Since when? He pursed his lips. A long time ago. I paused. So he'd had feelings for me even before that night we hooked up. Charlie. Yeah. You had a crush on me. Charlie frowned. I thought I'd stumped him, but then he gave a soft yeah. Now I frowned. If you liked me for so long, then you wouldn't want to break up, right? Be honest, did I ever treat you badly when we were dating? So why did you break it off like it meant nothing? Charlie held his breath, his wide eyes full of confusion. I sighed and smacked my forehead. Right, I forgot. His brain already wiped that part out. Maybe I'd never get an answer. Just as I was about to feel sorry for myself, Charlie grabbed my right hand and pressed it over his heart. Trust me. I blinked, then laughed, teasing him. What if I didn't like you? Would you still like me? Charlie looked completely lost. But, you kissed me. I feigned seriousness. So what? A kiss doesn't mean I like you. Come on, tell me. He agonized over it, brows scrunched tight. Finally, he said, then I'll give you just a little bit of like. I stifled a laugh and leaned in, our faces close enough to share a breath. A little bit of like just to get touched? That's some shady deal. Charlie. He flushed. Hard to say whether it was from embarrassment or shame. Then, how much do you want? I leaned in even closer, breath brushing his skin. All of it. Will you give it to me? His breathing quickened. His heartbeat picked up. After a long pause, he nodded firmly. Yes. I smiled and planted a kiss on the corner of his mouth. Got it. Now, what should you say to me? Charlie lowered his lashes, voice soft. I like you. He raised those dark, shining eyes, chest rising and falling with emotion, and said slowly and clearly, Nathan, I like you. I nodded, satisfied, held his face in both hands and gave him a proper kiss, then pushed him down onto the bed. Alright, baby, tonight, I'll make sure you really feel it. 20 minutes later, I realized I'd underestimated something. Even a dumb alpha is still an alpha, his nature doesn't disappear. At first, I was the one sitting on Charlie, taking care of his needs, but somewhere along the way, the roles reversed. Now I was underneath him. He caught on fast. Every move I'd used to kiss him hard before, I was now getting back in full. After kissing his lips, I wasn't satisfied. The heated kisses traveled down his neck, leaving a trail of fire. At that moment, his head was buried in my chest, licking and biting. His hands weren't idle either, grabbing mine and pulling them down. Touch, wife. Ha, that made me laugh. You sure know how to enjoy yourself. Ha, damn, don't bite. There. Charlie lifted his head, blinked twice, then buried it back down to kiss again. A couple of kisses, a lick, a little suck. Left side done, then the right. What used to hurt now made my scalp tingle. My heart was on fire. If this kept up, I'd lose control for sure. I flicked him. He let out a muffled grunt. Charlie looked up at me, lips glossy, eyes burning hot. Wife, calling me daddy won't work either. I looked away and pushed him gently. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to get your suppressant. Charlie wrapped his arms tight around my waist. His upper body stayed still, but his lower half was restless. I closed my eyes, gritting my teeth. Try pushing me again. I dare you. And he actually pushed. Just as I was about to kick him off, Charlie suddenly bent down and buried his face in my neck, lips tracing kisses one by one. Wife, I want. What do you want? I grabbed the back of his neck and pulled him up. Charlie furrowed his brow, eyes full of raw desire mixed with anxiety and panic. A thought popped into my head. I pinched his earlobe and cautiously asked, "Did you remember something?" Charlie held my hand tight, voice hoarse with urgency. "No suppressant. I want you." Hiss. There's that saying. Stimuli tied to a certain scene can help trigger memories linked to that scene. We've talked so much before. Maybe this little part can help wake up the bigger part. If Charlie can regain his memory, that knot in my heart might finally unravel. I thought for 3 seconds and decided to try. I tapped Charlie's face. "Ready? For what?" "Damn, I shouldn't have asked." I nudged him. "Go to the bathroom and bring me that black bottle of face wipe oil." Charlie moved fast. 10 seconds later he was back. Lying on me again. He said, "Here, wife." I took it and looked. Damn, it was hand cream. Alright then, I'd make do. Bending my legs and psyching myself up, I grabbed Charlie's right hand, squeezed a big blob of cream, and started rubbing it on while saying, "From now on, you do exactly what I say. Got it?" "Yeah." 9. Charlie actually obeyed, doing whatever I told him. I thought I had it under control, but Charlie was too good at this. After revisiting some old spots, we both ended up sweating buckets. "Wife, I want to move." I closed my eyes and patted his shoulder. "From here on out, have fun with it." I tilted my head back, catching my breath. Charlie bent down and licked the sweat on my neck, nose tracing along the side. I slowly released a little pheromone, fingers running through his black hair, fingertips gently stroking. Familiar? Smells good. Even two alphas' pheromones usually repel each other. How come this smells good? Damn, the little brain had taken over the big brain. A small electric spark shot deep inside me, and a low moan escaped my throat. Charlie heard it. His dark eyes lit up instantly, like he'd found a new toy, digging in harder and harder. Forget have fun, this was full throttle. I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth, and urgently stopped him. "I'm not some doll that screams at every touch. Stop, now, wife. You don't like it?" How to say this? Now's not the time to enjoy myself. I pursed my lips and decided to skip that question. I cupped his face and spoke seriously. "Look at me, baby, what do you feel right now?" Charlie paused. "Hot, bite me." I pulled my hands back and lightly swatted him. "I'm asking what you feel in your head." Charlie suddenly leaned in, his nose almost touching mine, a small smile curling at his lips. "Happy, and good." I closed my eyes and sighed. "Don't you feel anything, like déjà vu?" Charlie started moving quietly again. His lips played hopscotch across my face. "Yes." "What?" "I dreamed about this." I opened my eyes and held his face again. "Is it possible, it wasn't just a dream?" Charlie gripped my wrist, pressing down on both sides. His voice was soft and a little sad. "Wife, it's a dream. I always can't keep you." 10. The situation completely spiraled out of control. From the middle of the night all the way through the morning, there wasn't a single drop left. I grabbed my phone from the bedside table, buried under a mountain of messages, almost about to explode. I just finished replying to Hunter when that damn Charlie started pawing at me again. "Wife, look at me, look at me, look at you, my ass." Before I finished, something felt off. I raised a hand and grabbed his jaw. "Speaking more clearly now, say one more sentence and let me hear it." Charlie looked at me, blinked slowly twice, then a smile spread across his face. Wife, I really like you." I squinted, smiling, and scratched his chin. "Good boy, say it again." Wife, I want more." "Get lost." Charlie immediately hugged me tight, turning into a pitiful little puppy. "Wife." I nodded happily, then suddenly reached down and grabbed him roughly. Charlie's pupils dilated wildly as he let out a howl and rolled off me. He covered himself, rolled twice, lying face down, then peeked at me with one eye. "Wife, you're evil." I snorted coldly and forced a fake smile, my thighs twitching all over here. "So who's the evil one? Go clean yourself up, then tell your doctor to come downstairs and see me." Charlie crawled back over to grab my hand. "Wife, what about you?" I gave him a cold look, annoyed, and kicked him again. "I'm going to deal with your little descendants." Half an hour later, I finished getting ready and went downstairs. In the reception room, I saw Charlie staring eye to eye with his personal doctor. Charlie spotted me first, excitedly patting the seat next to him. "Wife, come quick." Carter glanced over calmly and greeted me. I smiled slightly and walked over. Just as I sat down, I heard him ask seriously, "Nathan, the young master said your thigh is twitching. How long has this been going on?" I paused for 2 seconds, expression unchanged, then pinched Charlie's thigh lightly and replied calmly, "Carter, you misunderstood. You're not here because of me, but because of Charlie himself. After last night, I noticed his speech has become much smoother. Maybe it's just my imagination. So I asked you to check. Carter nodded. Indeed, when the young master described your condition, most of the sentences were long and logically clear. Compared to the last time I saw him, this is great progress. Really? I got a bit excited. What about his mental state? Have you noticed any changes? Carter paused for 2 seconds, glanced at Charlie, then back at me. The young master is much livelier. Clearly, that wasn't the answer I wanted. I thought for a moment, then looked at Charlie. Baby, I'm a little hungry. Can you help me heat some milk in the kitchen? If you can't, ask the housekeeper. Okay. After watching Charlie leave, I turned back to Carter. You were involved in the entire treatment process for Charlie. Given the change we see today, do you think he has a chance to recover? Carter hesitated, then carefully said, Nathan, may I ask what exactly you did with the young master yesterday? Well, I helped him revisit some things we used to do. Carter nodded. For symptoms like delayed thinking and reaction, the medical team has tried hyperbaric oxygen, medication, psychological interventions, and more. None worked well. The fact that he shows such progress now is a surprise. You can continue your method for a while, but please prepare yourself mentally. It might improve more, or it might all be for nothing. Before I could ask more, Charlie walked in empty-handed. Without waiting, he took my hand and stood up. Wife, I asked the housekeeper to make something else. Come with me to the dining room. I raised an eyebrow and looked at Carter with a smirk. How is that all for nothing? I'm still getting something out of this. Carter, want to come eat something with us? Charlie's playful smile dropped instantly. No, I didn't do yours. You go home. Carter smiled. Okay, young master. 11. I took a nap in the afternoon and then planned to head to the office. I brought Charlie along, mainly because after changing clothes, I saw him obediently sitting on the sofa, looking at me with big hopeful eyes. My heart softened instantly. I thought for less than a second before deciding to bring him with me. When we arrived at the office, I almost thought I'd wandered into a wedding ceremony. Flowers, balloons, and big red, double happiness, characters everywhere. I was about to call for cleaning when the office door opened. Hunter swaggered in with a big grin. Surprise. Then he grabbed me and gave me 2 enthusiastic pats. See, the one who swore never to marry is the first to tie the knot. I pushed him away. I married the right person. Got a problem with that? Hunter laughed exaggeratedly, as if I'd just told a joke. Right person? I thought you don't go back to old flames. Hey, that ex of yours, you know, the one who sent money to our company while you were abroad living it up. We have a meeting with him this afternoon. He showed up asking to see you the second he got to the office. I told him you were on your honeymoon. Man, the client and creative teams all sat there fuming for a while. Maybe you should show up. Could seal the deal. Get lost. I don't even know the project details, and I'd just end up babbling if I went. I grabbed Hunter's collar and turned him sideways. My family's right here. You think this is appropriate? Charlie was lazily leaning back in the boss chair, arms resting casually on the armrests, and with an especially cold expression. Hunter didn't know Charlie's brain was off, so he said yo, and awkwardly smiled, respectfully greeting, Brother Charlie. Charlie didn't appreciate it, frowning slightly. Don't call me brother. I don't have a brother like you. I was surprised for a moment. If it weren't for the pause in his tone, I might have thought he was back to normal with that cold attitude. Hunter looked at me helplessly. Family's pretty serious. I patted his shoulder, about to send him out, when Charlie suddenly stood up. Wife, I have money too. Hunter was full of question marks. So was I. I blinked and carefully replied, I know. Just then, Hunter turned me around by the shoulder, lowering his voice. Charlie won't think you're going to hang out with that guy, right? Man, I never noticed how jealous he is before. Back when you two started dating, no matter how late you stayed out, he'd pick you up without a word of complaint. Oh, one time after a party, you came out arm in arm with an Omega, all clingy, chatting for a long time. Charlie was just leaning on the car door watching. Anyone could see that Omega was interested in you. Man, I was sweating bullets for you that night. I was drunk that time. Good you were drunk, or I'd have to scold you on Charlie's behalf. Look at that, you were like that and Charlie still didn't say anything. And you two kept going for a long time. So what's with him now? Hunter's voice faded. My thoughts started drifting away. 12. That night, Charlie was actually upset, but I believed I wouldn't have anything to do with that Omega anymore, so I didn't explain. Instead, I just cuddled up and slept with Charlie, thinking it over carefully. It wasn't just that time. During most of our relationship, whenever we had conflicts, my way of resolving things was always physical. If something was wrong, sweating and letting hormones run their course would clear it up. But I ignored one thing: that approach only worked for me. For Charlie, maybe physical intimacy couldn't erase the emotional distance, it might even deepen it. Over time, that became a knot. When he couldn't ignore it anymore, he brought up breaking up. I tapped my forehead. Hunter's mouth kept running like a machine gun. Just as I was about to mute him manually, a cold, annoyed voice sounded behind me. "Let go." Hunter immediately let go and jumped aside. I turned around. Charlie suddenly hugged me, muttering, "Wife, I have money, all for you, don't go." I was speechless with complicated feelings and gently stroked his back. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Hunter making a smug face and muttering, "Congrats, brother, you married a good husband." I flipped him off with a fake smile. "Get out and close the door. If you don't knock next time before coming in, I'll take the door off your office." Hunter made a few yo faces and swaggered away. Once the door closed, I cupped Charlie's face and kissed him hard several times. "Sorry." Charlie frowned, looking at me. In his dark eyes flashed confusion, sudden realization, and finally thick disappointment. I was confused too, so I pinched his earlobe. "What's wrong?" After a few seconds of silence, Charlie lifted his index finger and pointed just below my left collarbone, then softly asked, "Is this from that ex?" I froze for 2 seconds before realizing, then couldn't help laughing. Underneath my collarbone was a faint lipstick mark. Charlie had seen it last night but hadn't said anything, so I assumed he didn't care. Looking back, he seemed to purposely avoid that spot while kissing me. He did care. I smiled at him, took off my jacket and tossed it onto the sofa, untied my tie and hung it around his neck, then slowly unbuttoned my shirt one button at a time, gently pulling open the left side of my shirt. I asked softly, "Want to try pressing your lips there?" Charlie's eyebrows twitched. His dark eyes stared at me for a few seconds, then hesitated before leaning in. Warm breath brushed the small patch of skin. Charlie glanced up at me again. I raised an eyebrow. The next second, a soft warmth pressed against the spot. Charlie's eyes immediately brightened. In disbelief, he kissed the spot twice more. Then he straightened up, stunned. "Am mine?" I nodded and started buttoning my shirt back up. Charlie hugged me tightly, his face showing happiness I'd never seen before. "Mine." I tugged his cheek and smiled. "Yes, yours." 13. After that day, Charlie seemed certain I liked him. He started getting clingy. I needed to work overtime to catch up on piled-up tasks. Charlie stayed up with me. No phone or tablet. He set up a full calligraphy set on my desk and practiced writing. He showed me that calligraphy really depends on muscle memory. From kindergarten through high school, Charlie practiced diligently. Even with his current cognitive issues, he could still write works worthy of a calligraphy teacher. Within 2 days, my office walls were covered with beautiful calligraphy pieces. Proud, I quickly recorded a video and posted it on social media. The old man was the first to like it again. Hunter stopped by my office, marveled at the walls full of calligraphy, and kept praising how lucky I was to have married a good husband. I'd already grown immune to those words and ignored him. Looking up, I saw Hunter begging Charlie to write him a "Serenity Leads to Far-Reaching" scroll. Charlie glanced at me. I raised one eyebrow in a half-smile. He immediately got it and looked back at Hunter, dropping a cold line. "My wife said no." Rejected. Hunter started sulking and awkwardly making small talk. "You keep hiding in our company to cultivate yourself. What? Is your company going to fire you?" Charlie's hand holding the brush paused. Though calm on the outside, his mind was clearly overwhelmed. I held back laughter, about to respond, but Charlie coldly said, "Mind your own business." "All right." I secretly gave him a thumbs up. Hunter was speechless but shamelessly walked away with a "Virtue Carries All" calligraphy scroll. Damn, thieves are hard to guard against. After work, remembering the house cook was off, I planned to order takeout. Charlie said he wanted to cook. Of course, I supported him but secretly already picked out the dishes to order. To my surprise, Charlie actually followed a video tutorial and cooked 3 dishes and a soup that were delicious in taste, color, and aroma. I teared up and immediately took pictures to post online. Again, the old man was the first to like it. The next day was Charlie's hospital follow-up. After the checkup, the doctor said the same thing: take it slow. Both moms held hands and comforted each other. I didn't feel much. Slow and steady is fine. I wasn't in a hurry. I even thought maybe it was okay if Charlie stayed like this forever. After all, I could protect him for life. After the follow-up, the moms hurried back to their companies. Charlie and I went to the old man's ward. We wanted to stay longer and chat, but he wouldn't let us. Smiling, he told me to take Charlie out to have some fun whenever possible. I was thinking the same thing. So the next 3 days I worked overtime, preparing to clear time to take Charlie to Country L for a week. The day we left was sunny. At the airport, I took a photo of the sunrise. After posting it, I instinctively expected the old man to like it, but after 20 minutes, no reaction came. That was unusual. He usually liked instantly. I stared at my phone blankly for about 3 minutes. An inexplicable suffocation rose in my chest. Just as I hesitated about calling him, my phone rang. It was Charlie. When I answered, a slightly anxious voice came through. "Hello, Charlie, it's Mom." "Yeah, Mom, did you and Nathan get on the plane?" "Not yet, Grandpa isn't doing well." 14. When Charlie and I rushed non-stop to the hospital room, Grandpa was reaching out to grab the phone from the bedside table. Aunt Victoria snatched it away quickly. "Dad, the doctor said you need to rest well. Just now, you almost..." Suddenly, Grandpa coughed violently. Aunt Victoria immediately turned away, her eyes still red, hastily composing herself. "Here you are, come inside quickly." I nudged Charlie, but he didn't move. After that call, he was already stunned. He still hadn't come back to himself. I cupped his face and rubbed hard. "Grandpa's awake. Let's go in and keep him company." "Okay." After a long moment, Charlie nodded lightly and gripped my hand so tightly it trembled. The atmosphere grew heavy. Charlie walked over slowly and crouched beside Grandpa's bed. Aunt Victoria and I exchanged a look and silently stepped outside the room. "Mom, what did the doctor say?" Aunt Victoria froze for a moment, tilted her head to glance at me, then slowly looked away. "The doctor said it's just these past 2 days. Grandpa," he deliberately pushed Charlie away. "Right?" After a long silence, Aunt Victoria's voice trembled as she spoke. "Charlie's father passed away early. Back then, I almost went with him. It took a long time to get over it. Charlie was almost entirely raised by his grandfather. Grandpa wanted me to lie to Charlie, to protect him so he wouldn't be too heartbroken. But I just couldn't do it." Aunt Victoria choked up. I stepped forward and wrapped her in a hug. "Mom, you did the right thing." Half an hour later, Charlie pushed the hospital door open, looking dazed. He came over to me and forced out a voice. "Wife, Grandpa said he wants to talk to you." I touched his face and turned into the room. Grandpa smiled brightly as soon as he saw me. I turned my head away, took a deep breath, composed myself, and walked to the bedside with a smile. "Grandpa, what do you want to talk about?" Grandpa grasped my hand and patted it. "Nathan, thank you for taking such good care of Charlie." I barely made a sound before Grandpa waved his hand. "I can tell Charlie has been very happy lately, happier than any time he spent with me." I pressed my lips together and said sincerely, "But you raised him to be excellent." Grandpa glanced at me and half sighed, half smiled. "To make him responsible early, I've always been strict." Though outstanding, his personality became rigid and dull, not at all likable. "I quite like it." "Is that so?" Grandpa suddenly looked at me. Then, was it Charlie who asked for the breakup? I froze a moment and opened my eyes wide slightly. "You know about me and him?" Grandpa smiled with squinted eyes. "All right." I pursed my lips. "Yes, and he said I was taking his freedom away." Grandpa paused a few seconds and asked, "Want to know why?" I nodded. Grandpa chuckled and patted my hand. "Nathan, you're just too lovable." Before I could answer, he sighed and went on. "Charlie is a silent tree, and you are the free wind. He always hopes you'll stay but feels he can't hold on to you." Can't hold on. I was speechless. That night, silly Charlie said the same thing to me. I looked up and smiled bitterly. "Grandpa, I made him feel unsafe, didn't I?" Grandpa laughed out loud and teased, "You'd have to ask the old Charlie about that." After a long silence, I sighed and smiled. "Grandpa, how do you know everything?" Grandpa shook his phone. "Social media is a good thing." 15. Looking back now, that morning Grandpa seemed like a final burst of light. After cheerfully telling everyone what he wanted, his energy visibly faded. Charlie stayed by his bedside for 2 days without sleep. Grandpa wouldn't eat or drink, and neither would Charlie. No talking, no crying, like silent statues. Until the early morning of the 3rd day, Grandpa passed away with a smile. When I went to support him, I heard his hoarse sobs. The morning hall was set up for 3 days. On Grandpa's burial day, Charlie seemed like an empty shell, a body drained of soul. After the ceremony, family and friends gradually left the cemetery. Charlie stood at the stairway like a solitary pine, looking back for a long time. I told my dad to take both moms ahead. I stayed 2 steps away from Charlie, keeping him company in the gaze. The weather forecast said it would rain today. As the sky grew darker, Charlie didn't move an inch. I sighed silently and took out my phone to call someone to bring an umbrella. Just as I dialed, I heard a thud behind me. I quickly turned around and saw Charlie tumbling down. I hurried after him, but my legs felt like they were wrapped in steel rods, completely unresponsive, so I could only flop forward like a cripple, helplessly watching Charlie roll faster and faster. Charlie! The only answer was another muffled thud. Charlie's back of the head hit a stone pillar. He got stuck and didn't move. He was stuck against the stone. I wasn't sure what condition Charlie was in, but I didn't dare waste a second and rushed him to the hospital. After all the tests, the doctor said besides exhaustion, nothing serious showed up yet. The bump on the back of his head was just a swelling. The treatment plan was simply to let him sleep, and sleep he did. Charlie seemed to hibernate once he lay down. I stayed by his side, afraid to sleep myself, worried he might not wake up if I did. Every 3 hours, I checked with the doctor. By the morning of the third day, I just couldn't keep going. I pinched Charlie's ear and negotiated. Charlie, I'll just nap for a bit. You behave and sleep enough, okay? After saying that, I pinched his nose and felt good, so I rested my head beside his hand and instantly fell asleep. I slept so hard I lost track of time. When I suddenly woke up, it was already evening. Panicked, I sat up, touching around and realized I was in bed. I was in bed? Where was the patient then? Charlie, I'm here. A detached voice came. I looked toward the sound, dazed, and saw Charlie sitting on the sofa. His hair was neatly combed, his beard shaved, hospital gown replaced with a suit, tie tied meticulously. Most importantly, his eyes had changed drastically, sharp as knives, deep as a pool, no trace of the old foolishness. I couldn't hold back tears. My voice trembled with excitement. You're better, right? Yeah, Charlie replied calmly. I jumped out of bed, ready to rush to hug him, but he spoke calmly. Nathan, thank you for working so hard all this time. I froze mid-step, choking back tears. What did you just say? Charlie remained expressionless, picked up a document from the sofa armrest, and spread it on the small table in front of him. Let's get a divorce. 16. Good. The first thing he did after waking up was to cut ties with me. I was so mad I almost laughed. I was ready to just walk away, but as I turned, something felt off. So I turned back and tried to speak calmly. Reason. Charlie's eyes were half-lidded. Put your shoes on first. Put on your shoes, and I'll ask you the reason. The reason for the divorce. And don't give me that, give me back my freedom, crap. I'm already fucking free now. Charlie kept his eyes down for 2 seconds, then stood and came over. He grabbed a pair of slippers nearby, half kneeling to slip them on my feet. After I put them on, he didn't get up. Still half kneeling, he looked up and said in a calm voice, I know why you married me. Now that Grandpa's gone, you should go back to your own life. Go back to my own life. My ass. I was speechless with anger. Frustrated, I ran my hand through my hair, grabbed Charlie by the collar, and pulled him up. You know nothing. I'm asking you, do you still love me? Charlie met my gaze calmly. After a while, he looked away. I love you, but, stop. I grabbed his jaw and turned him back to me. Now it's your turn to ask me. Ask. Charlie's usually calm eyes finally flickered with emotion. His Adam's apple bobbed a few times before. Under my intense stare, he spoke. Do you still love me? I love you. I loved you before the breakup. I loved you angrily during it. I married you because I love you first, and because of Grandpa second. Did you fucking hear me? Charlie looked stunned by my shout. After a long moment, a bitter smile crept onto his lips. But I don't think there's anything about me worth loving. Now it was my turn to be stunned. I stared at him, incredulous. Then why do you think I agreed to be with you in the first place? Because I was moved by your relentless pursuit? Charlie said nothing. I sighed and slowed down. Charlie, I don't know how you came to that conclusion, but if you're uncertain, there's another way to put it. You can ask me, Nathan, what do you love about me? He slowly raised his eyes, like the goofy Charlie again. After a long pause, nervous and uneasy, he asked, Nathan, what do you love about me? I snorted and sat down on the sofa confidently, chin slightly raised. I love your handsome face and great body. I love your wealth and ambition. I love your thoughtfulness, patience, and reliability. I love your cooking, your skills in bed, and your good temper. I love your occasional inexplicable possessiveness. That's not occasional. Charlie paused, then his expression darkened. I've always been petty. I hate anyone who gets close to you. I raised an eyebrow and nodded. Okay, let me rephrase. I love your possessiveness that's constant and suffocating. I smiled and went on. Also, I've seriously reflected these past days. I admit I had no boundaries before, but forgive me this once. In the future, my shoulders will only be for you to lean on. My hands will only hold yours. Sweet words will only be for you. If you're not there or don't agree to a gathering, I won't go. I'll always be home before 9, unless something special comes up. Oh, and the most important thing, if we have a fight, I won't use sex to fix it anymore. Whether talking or arguing, we settle it the same day, then go to bed. Charlie's body stiffened, his expression blank. I snapped my fingers. Anything else you want to say? Charlie stared at me for a long time, stepped forward then stopped, lowered his eyes and said softly, I'm boring. After a pause, I nodded. Indeed. Charlie tensed for a moment, then slowly looked up, his Adam's apple trembling. So nothing. I cut him off seriously. I admit you're boring and I love you. Contradictory? I'll tell you, not at all, because I love you. Your boringness to me is stability. I'm unstable, so I need your stability. Hearing that, Charlie's expression softened. His eyes ran over my face like a marathon. I knew he had more to say but didn't rush him. I casually grabbed the divorce papers on the coffee table and flipped them open. Just as I opened the cover, I heard him speak. Nathan, we can't mark each other. After 2 seconds, I looked up, half squinting at him for a while. Charlie, if you could mark me, but I didn't love you, do you think you could trap me for life? Charlie didn't answer, but the faint glimmer of tears in his eyes told me he understood. I stood and opened my arms, waiting for him to come over. Charlie turned his head, holding back tears, then strode up to me. I was about to hug him when he suddenly bent down, grabbed both copies of the divorce agreement, and tore them into 8 or 9 pieces, until they were shredded beyond repair. He balled them up tightly and threw them fiercely into the trash bin. He didn't even spare the pen lying on the table. Bang! The pen was dead, but it looked expensive. I was about to fish it out when Charlie suddenly hugged me tightly, with superhuman strength. Nathan, do you really want to stay by my side forever? I chuckled softly, struggling to free one arm and wrapped it around his neck. I think that question should wait until our wedding, but I want to ask now. Alright, I turned my head and kissed his earlobe. I do. Charlie didn't speak. I couldn't see his expression, but I could feel his trembling breath, his wildly beating heart, the arms tightening around me, and the big tears falling into my collar. I raised my hand to stroke his neck and whispered with a smile, Charlie, did you shake the leaves down on me because you're happy? The man holding me skipped a heartbeat. Then he loosened his embrace, cupped my face with both hands, and pressed a salty kiss on my lips. Happy. As he finished speaking, Charlie took my hand, and with the other pulled out a ring from his suit pocket. Nathan, can you put this on me again? I took the ring and slowly lifted his left hand, speaking casually. You're quick. Charlie pursed his lips. Sorry, HM. I frowned. 2 seconds later, Charlie caught on. His expression softened, a smile surfacing in his eyes. I love you. I smiled and nodded, slid the ring to the base of his finger, and leaned in to kiss the corner of his mouth. That's better.